welcome back to my channel, and I hope you all had a fantastic Christmas. Today's video is dedicated to using up our leftovers, leftover veg, leftover ham, leftover chicken. If you got prawns, throw them in here. We are going to make leftovers fried rice on the barbecue, the griddle, the Blackstone, whatever you want to call it. That's where we're headed. We're going to go outside. We're going to cook outside in the muggy heat of Queensland so that I can show you a great way to use up your leftovers. You don't have to live on chicken sandwiches and turkey sandwiches and all those sorts of things for days after Christmas. This is a yummy dish. It uses up whatever you've got too. So I have ham left, that's about it. And we've got some random veg out of the garden that we've still got. And I've got some eggs. And I did find, I didn't have any cooked chicken left. Our Christmas consists of ham and chicken for the most part and some smoked meat. So like beef and things like that. I'm not going to use those in this dish today, although you could if you wanted to. We just have other plans for them. I did find 2 chicken breasts in the bottom of my freezer, so I'm going to throw them in. If you have already cooked chicken or you want to use one of those barbecue chickens from the supermarket, like the rotisserie chicken, by all means, grab that, use that, put whatever you want in this, okay? So, we will need to start by getting some rice cooked. I don't have any cooked already, so I'm going to do that right away. This is just a basmati or long grain blend of rice in this bag. Little bits of cotton in there. So in my pot, I'm just going to add 2 cups of rice. You can do the rice in a rice cooker or in your Instant Pot. My Instant Pot is currently being used for another item at the moment in the background, so I'm going to just cook my rice on the stove. Get that out of the way. I am just going to give this rice a good rinse under cold water and drain all of the water off, and then we will add out our measured water into our pot. So I've rinsed off my rice and drained it. There's no water left in there. Now what I want to do is add my water, and this is not boiling water, this is just water in an easy to hold container. So to my pot of rice with a little thread, no, it's just a piece of rice. We want to add the same amount of cups of water. So I did 2 cups, I'm going to do 2, and then I add a half again. So a half a cup, okay? So I've got 2 cups of water and 2.5 cups of, sorry, I've got 2 cups of rice and 2.5 cups of water. I'm just getting all of my rice down under the water, and I'm going to put that on the stove on a high heat. While I'm waiting for that to come up to a boil, I'm going to get a piece of baking paper or parchment paper and a tight fitting lid to go on here, because all I'm actually going to do is bring this rice to the boil, then I'll be turning it off, okay? This particular absorption method only requires you to cook it for the amount of time it takes to come up to a boil. Then I'll have a lid on with that paper, and that paper is just to create a tighter seal, okay? And then it will absorb for about 10 minutes, and then we will have fluffy, beautiful rice. So here's my lid, and as you can see, this particular lid has a hole in it, and that's not going to work for me for this. So I've got a piece of paper, and I'm just checking that's going to be a nice tight seal. So that will be ready to go. As soon as this rice comes up to the boil, I'll pop that lid on and turn off the heat. So while I'm waiting for that rice to do its thing, I'm just going to prepare whatever vegetables I have here and my meat, get it all cut up. I'm going to get everything ready. So before you make a fried rice, whether you do it on your barbecue like I'm going to today, or whether you do it on a wok, in a wok, or in even a large cast iron pan would work well, you need to have all your bits and pieces ready to go, because the actual cooking process is really quite quick. So I'm going to have a few bowls set out with different things in them ready for different stages of the cooking, because that's how I like to do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is really simply just crack myself some eggs, and I usually do about 4 or 5 eggs, depending on how many people I'm feeding. And I'm just going to add some salt and pepper to my eggs, really simply, just a hit of salt and pepper, and just give that a quick whisk, and then we can set that aside. So that's ready. I'm setting that aside. That will come outside with me when I go to actually cook. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare all of my vegetables and put them in a large bowl. And you can use whatever vegetables you have available. Today I have carrots, onion, garlic, capsicum. I have some cabbage and some beans, and I actually think I might have some frozen peas in my freezer that I'm going to get out as well. I've got onion and garlic, some ginger. Yeah, I think that's it. We don't have a heap of vegetables left after Christmas, but the garden still had some in there, so I've just grabbed what I could grab. The whole point of this dish is that it is simple and it uses up what you already have without having to go to the added expense of finding more things. I'm just going to cut my carrots on an angle like that. See, just like this on an angle, makes it look like it belongs in a stir fry, I think. Straight into your bowl. I'm going to add some capsicum, and this one is, it's a little sad. We can still use it. It will still be fine. And I'm just going to cut strips out of my capsicum. Into the same bowl. So I'm going to end up putting all the veg in this bowl, and the meat will go into a separate bowl. I've got another capsicum here. Okay, I can hear my rice boiling. So as you can see, we are boiling. So now just pop paper. So I've got the paper on, the lid on, and I've just turned the heat off. Now that's just going to sit there for at least 10 minutes and it'll be done. I don't know if you can hear it, if it's coming through, but it is pouring with rain again. We've had a wet summer so far. All right, I found a tiny part of a cabbage. I don't even know how long this has been sitting in my fridge for, but it didn't have mold on it. I've got some more cabbage here. This is more of a real size cabbage. Into your bowl. I don't have many beans, but that one's no good. I'm going to pick over anything I can use, I'll use. And this, I mean, this is the perfect example of you just don't have a full ingredients, right? It's just what you've got available that you can make this out of. All right, we've got a few pieces. So because I've only got pieces, I'm just going to chop it up small. So because it's raining, I am not going to head out into the garden and see what else might be out there that would be perfect to use in today's recipe. But if there was asparagus or some extra beans, that would be perfect. Some coriander would go nicely as well. So yeah, just use whatever vegetables you've got left. I don't tend to use things like beetroot, sweet potato or potato in this though. The only sort of root vegetable I tend to use would be a radish or the carrots. So I do have a couple of onions here because they're quite small. And when I slice onions for a stir fry, I actually turn my onion this way, okay? So if I was doing slices, I'd go that way, but because I'm doing stir fry, I do it this way and go up like that. It just seems to create a different style of slice. It's more wedgy, and I like it for stir fry better. So in there with my onions. And I've just realized I really need to sharpen this knife. It is blunt. All right. All I've got left is a little knob of ginger here. So I'm just going to grate that straight in. I have pre-peeled that. And I've just realised we never planted ginger. So we're having a really wet, really warm summer and I didn't plant any more ginger and I had such a bumper crop last year when the weather was similar. So that's disappointing. I wonder if it's too late to get some ginger planted. So I've also got my garlic here and I've got about 4 or 5 cloves and they are just going to get grated in as well. And if you don't want to use fresh veg, or you've got no fresh veg maybe, but you have frozen veg, you can definitely use frozen vegetables for this. It's just going to cook a little differently because there will be water coming out of your vegetables when you're cooking. I have just boiled some water because the next thing I want to do is use some of our dehydrated mushrooms that we did together earlier in the year. And I'm just going to grab a handful of these. You can also put fresh mushrooms in with the vegetables, but I love to use these dried mushrooms. It adds another layer of flavour, something that mushrooms don't add without being dried for some reason. So I just use scissors and I cut them up into small pieces. If you made the mushroom salt that we made earlier as well, that I can link a video to, I can link a video to how to make my seasoned salts as well. You could use that instead of using these dried mushrooms here. Just that salt video does have quite a lot of mushroom in it. That particular one I'm talking about, the mushroom salt. All right, so to this, I just want to add some hot water, boiling water, just to bring it up to about half a cup. All right, and that is just going to sit, rehydrate, and create a really beautiful stock of mushroom. Okay, if you wanted to make this dish without any meat at all and without eggs, so you wanted a vegan version, you could still use it with the mushroom and it would give it just a really nice depth of flavor. Okay, but I never skip this step because I do always keep my dried mushrooms stocked up and, you know, always in plenty supply. So this is one of the reasons I use it. It's just delicious. It smells so, so good. So that is ready, or it will be ready by the time we get to adding that. The next thing I need to do is just prep the meat. Because I'm using raw chicken and my ham left over from Christmas, I'm going to store those in separate bowls. If I was dealing with cooked chicken and cooked ham, I would put all this meat into the one bowl. So really simply, all I'm doing is taking out whatever ham or bacon you have left over from Christmas and just give it a chop. And if you had prawns as well, by all means use those too. So there's my ham. I'm just going to put it in that cup that we used earlier. Okay, and that can go on my dish, on my tray to go outside. Now for the chicken. So for my chicken, I'm just going to get a separate board. I don't like to cut raw chicken on my timber boards. And I'm just using what I had sitting in the bottom of the freezer. And I always cut off any bits that I think are weird. If you're using a rotisserie chicken or something like that, by all means, just like shred it up, okay? I'm just gonna slice this rather thinly. You can also buy sliced chicken breast in strips. I think it's called stir-fry chicken breast. And straight into my bowl. This one is a little frozen, so I just cut off the bits that don't look real appealing. All right, chicken's good. And I remembered I had some nuts. So I'm gonna throw some nuts in this as well. The person in my family who is allergic to nuts won't be eating this dish, so I have no problem using nuts in it. If I was to buy nuts for this specifically, I would probably buy almonds or cashews, okay? I'm using peanuts. They're already salted, they're already roasted, they're leftover, so we will just add probably half a cup of those as well. So when it comes to the sauces, I have like a variety that I kind of just always have and generally use in my stir fry, regardless of the meat that I'm using, so whether it's chicken or beef or something else. And that is soy sauce. So I have just regular Japanese soy here, but I also have the sweet ketchup mayonnaise soy, and I like both of those, okay? So we've got both of them. I have some hoisin sauce, and I've just added a little bit of water to that because it was really, really thick. I've also got just a little bit of oyster sauce and everyone's favorite, the sweet chili sauce. Okay, so this sort of combination of all of those going in together, it's gonna make a really nice fried rice. The rice itself should now be ready, and I'll show you what that looks like. So take off the lid and the paper, and it should look fluffy, especially if you start doing this with a fork. You should end up with relatively loose grains of rice. Now don't use a short grain risotto style rice for this. That won't work. This isn't sushi, okay? We want a long grain rice because we want this to not be gluggy at all, okay? And that rice does look and feel fluffy and beautiful and fully cooked. So there you go, the most simplest way to cook rice with no special equipment required. I am going to taste a little bit just to make sure we are fully cooked. If we are a little raw, I'll just pop that lid straight back on for another 3 to 4 minutes. If the rice is cooked, it's good to go. And that is cooked. There's no crunch at all through the rice, so it's lovely and soft, fully cooked. But yeah, if you find you do rice this way and it's not quite soft enough, you get a bit of a crunch through the center, just put the paper and the lid back on and just wait a few more minutes and then test it again. So our rice is good to go, our vegetables, eggs and meat and nuts are ready to go, and I have my selection of sauces here ready to go as well. So I'm ready to take all of this outside and start working on the barbecue. Okay, we are outside. I do have a tin roof with no insulation or anything on it, so it may get noisy as the rain starts to fall. If it falls too heavily, I'll just voice over this whole part for you. But here is my barbecue. It is a char griller griddle. We bought this about 6 months ago because we needed a new barbecue, and it is basically your Blackstone, okay? It's the exact same thing. It's like a cast iron pan in the cooking surface. So have a look. So we use this thing all the time. We just constantly use it. We do burgers on it. We do so many different things on it. The main thing to remember is to keep it well oiled, and you can see it's got a layer of grease there. That's perfect. Probably didn't put enough there. We are ready to turn this on, get it heated up, and get some grease on there while we bring out all of our bits and pieces to make our stir fry. So I'm just going to get this fired up, and it couldn't be simpler. You just hold in the ignite button as you hold in one of the gas hobs as you press the ignite button, and then each of these will have the gas travel through and they will all ignite. So I keep that on nice and high while I'm wanting it to heat up. Alright, so I've brought everything out here with me. That's just some fat to put onto the barbecue. Alright, I've put my sauces in the front here, and then over here we have our veggies, the ham and the egg. So we're just waiting for this to heat up, and then we'll get started on the cooking. So the barbecue's getting nice and hot. Just going to get my fat and put that And you can use whatever fat or oil you like for this as well. That's just a bit of lard. Once that's nicely melted, let's go in and start stir frying. So all I'm doing is just continuing to move around the vegetables, and I'm letting the chicken just sort of sear on one side. If you are using your leftover chicken that's already cooked, you don't need to add that yet. So if you are going to use the cooked chicken, add that when I add the ham. So the veg is looking good, it smells incredible. I'm ready to turn my chicken. Ready now to go ahead and add my rice to the veggies. To that, I'm just going to add some of these sauces, and that is entirely up to you. Just a couple of tablespoons of the sweet chili. Good amount, like 1/4 cup of the sweet soy. Most of that hoisin, because I watered it down, there was only about a tablespoon of actual hoisin in there. About the same of oyster sauce, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of regular soy. Give that a good mix. You want all the rice incorporated in the sauce. And you don't want the rice to be sticking to the barbecue either. Mushrooms. make yourself a circle. For your eggs. So I've sprinkled my nuts on. I had the camera off. I do apologise. I've turned my barbecue off. This fried rice is ready to go. So just mix those nuts in. And it can be scooped out and popped in a bowl. I'm going to put it back in the bowl that I had the veggies in because no raw meat was in there at all. And I completely forgot my ham. So happy ham. Ham's already cooked, so that's no problem. You can add cooked chicken at this point. Give it a stir so it heats up. But that is good to go. So there you have it, a really delicious stir fry using up our leftovers, and it made such a huge bowl. Like, that will feed your family, you know, at least one meal. For those people who are wanting a little more spice in their life, grab yourself some sriracha. I'm going to top this off with a little bit of sesame seeds, some herbs, and a couple of more nuts. There you go, delicious stir fry. Moment of truth, let's have a taste. So good. It was stinking hot out there. Give this one a try when you've got leftovers that you need to use up. You won't regret it, it's so good. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I hope this video has come at a time that's helpful for you. I hope you had a fantastic Christmas, have a fantastic new year, and I will catch you next time. Bye.